Hello. Nice to meet you. Everyone, give a warm welcome for Marko Kloos, a writer, also a creator of that series of novels like Frontlines and now Paladin Wars. Marko?
Yeah, that's true. I wrote all these things. Hello, nice to be here.
Nice to hear you too. You tell me, you are now in USA, yes?
Yes, on the East Coast in New Hampshire.
Oh, because when I write to you, I didn't know which part of USA and time zone you are. Okay. You are mostly known in Poland from your cycle of novels Frontline, because they are mostly from, that I remember, from 2015.
Right.
Are published in and translated in our language. And like I see here, maybe last year, our publisher, Fabryka Słów, published another cycle, the Paladin Wars.
Right.
Yes. And first question, because in your biography, we see that you had to be a soldier.
Yes.
Yes, and how many you experience are in your books? Because you are mostly a military sci-fi author.
Right. Yeah, it's more the first series, Frontlines, is more of my experience. I wrote the first book in that series exactly for that reason, because I wanted to, because my military service was so long ago that I wanted to have a way to work in all the memories and the details before I forget them. So I wanted to write something where I could use all those experiences. And a lot of the things that I wrote in the first book, when Andrew goes to boot camp and has his training, and the stuff that the instructors say to him, is some of the stuff they say came out of the mouths of my drill instructors, so my sergeants. So there's a lot of stuff there that what was said to me or that I experienced. The little things that make it feel real. So I was able to use a lot of that for Frontlines. Not so much for Paladin Wars, because it's 4 different characters and not just one person. But I was able to use a lot in Frontlines, definitely.
Yes, and when came idea to make you, like you said, experience from your soldiers' days to mix them with sci-fi genre?
I wanted to go to a writing workshop that you have to apply to. You have to send something in and get accepted. It's by invitation only.
Yes.
And when I was made aware of that workshop, and I really wanted to go to that workshop, but the deadline, the time to turn in something for them to read, to decide whether you can attend or not, I found out 2 weeks before the deadline. So I had to write something very quickly. And so I wrote some. They wanted you to send in like the first 2 chapters of a novel or a short story or something along those lines, and I didn't have anything written that was fantasy or sci-fi. So I wrote something very quickly that was fantasy, and I gave it to my wife to read, to see what she thought, and she read it and she said, maybe you should write something else. So then I really had to sit down with a week left to go on the deadline. I had to sit down and decide what to do. And then it occurred, then I had the idea, I was in the military, I had all these experiences, and I like reading military science fiction. and if I like reading it, I probably enjoy writing it too. So I decided to just write the first few chapters of this story. Just started, with no world building or anything, just what was in my head. And I had this idea, this typical, young man joins the military and goes to boot camp. And so I wrote that, and I sent it in, and they accepted it, and it just kind of went from there. So it was luck.
And now this is a series of 7 books,
Yes.
plus one story that is called Lucky 13. Yes.
Yes, that is a short story from that world. One of the characters from Frontlines, Andrew's wife, the pilot, and it was purchased by the people who made Love, Death, and Robots for Netflix, and they turned it into an animated, a little movie, like a short movie. And it was in season 1 that came out. Was it last year or the year before? I think it was the year before. I think it was.
Yes. Year before. Now will come in this year second series.
So it came out in 2019. Yeah, the second one is coming out this year. And they bought Lucky 13, and they bought another story of mine that was fantasy, that wasn't related to Frontlines. So I have 2 episodes in that first season, and Lucky 13 was a Frontlines one. And the cool thing is it's episode 13 of the series, because it's Lucky 13, and it's exactly 13 minutes long. So they did that really nicely.
Yes, nice. I have also a question to Frontline. What was the idea to create and name aliens Lankies? I know they also call it big uglies, because that is a gigantic species. In novel are quadrupedal with 4 foots. So
I wanted to have something like, every novel, almost every science fiction novel that you read, military sci-fi, it's like it's against bugs, insects, or arachnids, Starship Troopers, and I wanted to have something that's totally the opposite of that. And then I thought to myself, what if it's a bug war, but humans are the bugs? So I had to have something that was much bigger than humans and much more powerful, that you can't just, it's not just a swarm of bugs or whatever. It's like they're like kaiju, basically. And the nickname, the Lankies, because their limbs are so long and thin. And lanky is the word for, somebody with a very skinny physique, with long limbs. So Lankies just kind of came naturally.
Okay. Next, I have a question from Paladin Wars. And because in Poland we have translated 2 first tomes.
Yeah.
Tell me first, this is that same universe or completely different from Frontline?
I wanted to make it. They wanted me to do a second novel, a second series, and I didn't want it to be Frontlines all over again. So I wanted it to be the complete opposite of Frontlines. I wanted it, Frontlines is first person, present tense narration. So Palladium Wars has multiple point of view characters, so it's told from the perspective of 4 different characters, and it's past tense narration, not present tense, so it's more traditional. So I want it to be totally opposite of Frontlines, so I wouldn't, be in the same groove, so to speak. I didn't want to do the same thing all over again. So and Frontlines has a young protagonist in the beginning, has a young character. Andrew starts out when he's very young, and Palladium Wars is more is an older man, is the main character, and like all the characters in Palladium Wars are older except for for one character who's the daughter, who's the sister of the main character, who's she's in her 20s, but everybody else is in their 30s and 40s, and you don't usually see novels, series starting with the characters already middle-aged. So it's probably because I'm middle-aged now, so more of my experience that can go in there.
I understand. I think that we can give a time for questions from the rest people. Yes.
I got this in the mail.
In Polish version.
They just arrived yesterday. These are I get 4 copies from the publisher as author copies, and these just came in day before yesterday.
Yes, Polish version.
Very nice covers. Always the Polish covers are always the best.
Now I think this is a nice time for questions. Guys, please write your question in chat or raise your hand in a program. If someone have one. I don't see any.
Yeah, we had two in the chat that
yes, I know.
Responded to already. That's yeah, I always need deadlines. It's if you tell me I have all the time in the world to write a book, I'll goof off for until the month before the deadline. I need a hard deadline, don't give me time, give me a deadline.
This is, I think this is normal because with the deadline procrastination attack very hard. Okay, we have a question from Agnieszka Pyra. You can speak. Hello, Agnieszka. You can turn on your microphone in program. Guidance. Okay, anyone who will just wait for Agnieszka? Hello? Okay. Marko, tell me please, Citadel is your new book that was not published yet in USA. Not yet. And tell me, maybe that this is already in translation in Poland, or you don't have that information?
I don't remember exactly. I think we sold it, but it's in translation right now, I think, and I'd have to check with my with the translator on that. But it's not even out in the US yet. It's coming out in 2 months in the US, so I don't know when it will be out in Poland when it gets translated, because it always takes a while. People ask me, because I'm from Germany originally, and people ask me if I translate my own books into German, and I have to tell them no, because it takes much longer to confidently translate it than it would to write it. Like, it would take as much time to translate it well, and I just don't have the time for it. So they use a professional translator even in German. They don't have me do it, and I don't want to either. I want to write new stuff, not translate my old stuff.
And maybe because you also every day live now in USA and speak English and German only from time to time.
Yes, it's difficult. You forget a lot if you don't use the language every day. It takes me, when I go back to Germany to visit my family, it takes me about 2 or 3 days before I'm totally fluent again in German. Because then for 2 days after I get there and I'm hearing German again and I speak German all the time, I still have to think about the right words and find the words in my head, and then every once in a while somebody asks me a question in German, then I answer in English instead. But after 3 days, I'm completely fluent again. But it takes a while. So when you don't use it every day,
I know something about that because I have uncle that live from very long time in Sydney. So when he tried to speak Polish, he have some problems. Okay, Agnieszka wrote her question. Which of you hero from Palette Wars are your favorite? And what was the main fun to create new words so different from the previous one?
Yeah, and I should. People will probably expect that I like Aiden the most because he's kind of supposed to be the main character, and he's kind of like most like me in age and in military experience and all that. But it's really not. Like, I like them all, but I like the ones especially that are not like me. You know, like I like Solveig because she has an interesting character arc because she starts out this young and inexperienced girl, and she gets tossed into all this responsibility, and it's interesting to play with her and to kind of see how she's growing a spine, and standing up for herself. And I like Adina because she's an infantry soldier, and she takes no crap from anybody. And I like all the characters. Like, and Dunstan is kind of like the professional, naval soldier, very, James Bond type, smooth and experienced and cool under pressure. And they all have character traits that I like, but it's most fun. They're all fun to write, but I think I have the most fun with Solveig and Dunstan.
Okay, Małgorzata Gowara. Do you try to write any stories in German, or it is English only?
I don't write in German. I have not tried to write in German for a long time. I don't know how well. I started writing fiction in English so long ago that I think I could, but I don't. The English market is so much bigger, and whenever we do have something that sells to Germany, they have their own translators to put on it. I don't try to write for the German market because there's really no point, because all my stuff I sell over here in the US.
Yes, and it's easier for you that we earlier said. Okay. Anyone? Okay, when we will wait, I also ask what you write now.
What I'm writing now, I'm writing Frontlines number 8, and I don't have a title for it yet. Yes.
Oh, and what title will we? Because we have the last was Order of Battle, and what now? Because every new title you have a very militaristic title.
Yes, and they always have to be something of something, and I'm running out of military terms that are appropriate. So there are some that I have in mind, but I haven't picked one yet. And I really, that's why with Palladium Wars, I don't know if you noticed that that the English titles, I don't know what does the Polish title translate as?
Wait a second. Aftershock is, and there is a wstrząs wtórny. This is also Aftershock.
Okay, so it's a literal translation.
Yes,
you're going to miss the Polish readers are going to miss the little trick that I did for myself with Palladium Wars, because it got so difficult, because Frontlines is up to 7 books now, and every time somebody picks the series up, they ask me, at a convention or whatever, when they meet me, what's the first book? What order should I read them in? And every single title has 3 words in it, so I have to rattle off the entire series. I have to go, terms of enlistment, lines of departure, angles of attack, and sometimes I even forget myself. So it takes a while to. But the new one, the English titles are all alphabetical. So Aftershocks is A, Ballistic is B, Citadel will be C, and I will go down the alphabet, with the title. So I can just tell people it's all in alphabetical order.
Interesting. And, in like you said, militaristic terms are for titles. But like I see, for us Polish people to say that titles in English, term of enlistment, lines of departure, are hard. and we have more in Polish much more easier to say, because like first time is pobór, there is ewakuacja, natarcie. Natarcie is Angles of attack. Okay.
I do like that the Polish publishing house is smart enough to put the number of the which book in the series it is right on the title, so people can shop. Like my American publisher doesn't do that. So with the Frontlines books or the Palladium Wars books, so that's really smart, because then people.
In Poland, this is standard. In Poland, this is standard.
That's good. That's good.
We almost now always know which tome of series that book is. Okay. Like to say, Agnieszka Pyra, was it difficult to switch from a one-man narrative to multiple point of view in the Palladium Wars?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was, because it has 4 different point of views, and they all, at some point in the book, several of them meet up, in the same place, and then diverge again. So you have to keep your time. I had to keep. Frontlines is just Andrew. It's just and it's first person, so we're always in his head. But with the Palladium Wars, we're in 4 people's. We're following 4 people, and the timeline has to be syncing up between all 4 of them, and then it takes much longer to plot the story for each of those 4 individuals. And I have I can show you real quick. I have the wall there with the sticky notes. Colored sticky notes. Each character gets a different colored sticky note, and then I stick them. I write the chapter with the sticky note of the color of the character that the chapter is about, and then I write 1 or 2 sentences of what happens in the chapter, and then I stick them on my whiteboard here, and then I move them around as I need them. Because if you have something in this chapter that happens to this character, but something in that other chapter needs to happen first, then I know that chapter has to come first. So there's a lot of moving stickies around until everything is in the right order, and then you turn the book into your editor, and then they come back and they want you to make a few changes, and then you're like, no, I'm not messing with my order of stickies. It's in place now. You get what you get. But yes, it's much harder. It probably takes me twice as long to write a Palladium Wars book than it does Frontlines books.
It's because you must write from 4, like you say, from 4 point of views, and always when you write, otherwise remember which one you write now. Yeah,
and they all have to meet up. Especially if you make the characters meet up in the middle, and some in Ballistic we had Dunstan and Aiden meet up, because Aiden ends up on Dunstan's ship, and so the chapter happens, but then you have to decide from whose point of view do you tell that story, because you have 2 point of view characters in the same chapter. So you got to figure out from whose point of view do you tell the story, how is it more interesting. So it takes a lot longer to figure out.
Okay, guys, we have 5 minutes left. Anyone last question? Like I said, raise hand or write on the chat. Okay. Magdalena Banaszek, please.
Okay, hello. I am the moderator of this room, but I having a question. So I used to learn German obviously in school, but there was this technique in the German language that you put words together and they are making a longer and longer word, and I think that was really smart for a language. I love making a new words out of nowhere, and I want to ask, do you miss it in English language?
Yeah, it's not a thing in English, but it's funny because it's like a party trick, because I have friends, American friends or English friends, who ask me to make a compound noun. When we chat, they go like, sometimes they'll go, oh, what, there should be a German word for, you know, the feeling that you get when, you know, you leave your house and you know you've left something on or whatever, and then I make up a German compound noun on the spot because it's grammatically permissible. You can just glue nouns together in German as long as you follow the rules of the language, and you know, you can make them as long as you want, as long as the word still makes sense. So I do that off the top of my head because it's easy, you know, because it's a German linguistic rule. You can do it all you want, and then I give them the word, of course. And then when you write it out, it looks ridiculous because it's like 4 or 5 nouns glued together into one word, and they think it's hilarious. But yeah, I do miss it. It's a very flexible feature of German. But overall, I find that English is more to the point. Like there's some things that I can express in English now that take me twice as long to say in German. So German is more complex. My wife is learning German now, and that's like just the articles. The fact in English you only have the, and in German you have gendered articles, you know, or gendered nouns. Like, you know, each noun is either male, female, or neuter. I don't know how it's a Polish nouns gendered.
Yes, we have, and in English is mostly only you. Yes.
It's the dog, the tree, and
yes.
in German it's der Baum, der Hund, das
Yes,
Fahrrad, and it makes no sense. Like there's no system. It drives her nuts because she likes systems. She likes to be able to figure out how to you know, the rules to the language. But with the gendered nouns in German, it's completely random. Like you have to memorize the noun, the gender for the noun, because you can't tell. Like, why is the bicycle neuter? Why is the tree male but the flower is female? You know, like it drives her nuts. But that's just one of the things that's easier in German.
Identically Polish. Identical.
Oh, I tried. I started Babel lessons in Polish, and it's not that easy. Even though my mother is Croatian and I know a little bit of Croatian, but it's a very different language from Croatian.
Okay, we have only 1 minute left, so, and I see that the next people for next panel are ready, so we can thank you for your visit.